It was a brisk December evening in New York City. Donald Trump, wearing his signature dark suit and red tie, walked through the streets near Central Park after a long day of meetings. The holiday lights twinkled in the crisp air, and the city buzzed with the energy of the season. As he strolled down 59th Street, something unusual caught his eye. At the corner of the street, a young man was struggling to lift an elderly gentleman who had fallen. The man was thin, his clothes modest but clean, and his hands were rough from hard work. What stood out was the calm determination on his face as he helped the older man to his feet, despite being ignored by the rushing crowd. Trump couldn't help but notice how focused the young man was, completely undeterred by the indifference of those around him. The scene reminded Trump of the importance of small acts of kindness, a value he had learned early in his life. Trump paused, watching the scene unfold. He saw the young man carefully set the older gentleman on a bench, check his pulse, and offer him water from a small bottle in his pocket. The older man nodded in gratitude, and the young man stood, looking around as if to ensure everything was under control. Trump admired how the young man's actions reflected a quiet sense of responsibility, something often overlooked in today's fast-paced world. "Hey, you there!" Trump called out, stepping closer. The young man turned, startled to see the famous businessman. "That was a good thing you just did. What's your name?" The young man hesitated before answering. "Miguel Santos, sir." His accent hinted at a Latin American heritage, and his eyes showed both weariness and resilience. There was a story behind those eyes, Trump thought, a story that needed to be heard. "Miguel," Trump said, extending a hand, "you handled that like a pro. Are you a doctor or something?" Miguel shook his head. "No, sir, I'm just a maintenance worker. But I've taken some first aid training. It's not much, but I try to help where I can." Trump's curiosity deepened. "And what's your story? Why are you out here tonight?" Miguel glanced at the ground, then back up. "I was on my way to my second job, sir. Night shifts help me support my family back home in Puerto Rico. Things haven't been easy since the hurricane, but I'm managing." Trump nodded thoughtfully. "You've got heart, Miguel. Let me ask you something. Have you ever thought about doing more with those skills of yours?" Miguel's eyes lit up for a moment, but he quickly tempered his enthusiasm. "I've always wanted to be a paramedic, sir, but school costs money, and right now, I've got priorities back home." Trump looked at him, impressed by his humility and determination. Without another word, he pulled out his phone and dialed a number. On the other end, his assistant Margaret answered. "Margaret, I need you to do something," Trump said. "Find me the best EMT training program in the city and get someone on the line. I've got someone here who needs an opportunity." Miguel's eyes widened. "Sir, you don't have to—" Trump held up a hand. "No arguments, Miguel. You've got potential, and I'm not about to let it go to waste." Within minutes, Margaret had arranged a meeting with a representative from a local EMT training school. Trump turned back to Miguel. "You'll start training next month. My foundation will cover the costs. And don't worry about your family. We'll make sure they're taken care of while you're in school." Miguel was speechless. "I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Trump," Trump smiled. "Just promise me one thing, Miguel. When you're out there saving lives, remember this moment and pay it forward." As they spoke, the elderly gentleman Miguel had helped earlier approached them. "Young man," he said to Miguel, his voice steady but full of emotion. "Thank you for what you did back there. You didn't have to stop, but you did. People like you make the world better." Trump watched the exchange, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. He had always believed in the power of recognizing and nurturing talent, and Miguel was proof that sometimes all a person needed was a chance. A week later, Miguel's story became a local headline. Donald Trump helps aspiring paramedics start new chapter. But for Miguel, the real story was just beginning. With his training underway and his family supported, he was on the path to fulfilling his dream of helping others on a larger scale. And for Trump, it was another quiet victory, a reminder that sometimes a simple act of kindness could create a ripple effect far beyond what anyone could imagine. Months later, Miguel graduated at the top of his EMT class. His instructors praised his dedication and quick thinking. At the ceremony, Miguel gave a short speech, dedicating his success to his family, his community, and the stranger who had given him a chance when he least expected it. Trump, sitting quietly in the audience, felt a rare sense of pride. He'd been a part of something meaningful, something that would continue to grow. Miguel's journey didn't end there. With his newfound skills, he began working in one of the busiest neighborhoods in New York, where his calm demeanor and expertise quickly earned him a reputation as one of the best EMTs around. Every life he touched became part of a larger story, a story of hope, resilience, and the extraordinary power of believing in someone. For Trump, stories like Miguel's were a reminder of the importance of taking a moment to notice the unseen heroes of the world. Sometimes, it was the quiet acts of bravery, the unspoken sacrifices, and the humble dreams that held the greatest potential for change. And as he watched Miguel's story unfold, he couldn't help but wonder how many more lives could be transformed with just a little encouragement and a lot of heart.